Tonight, Father Pat Lavin shares the story of St. Patrick and growing up Irish in Philadelphia. And we'll meet an orthopedic surgeon who has dedicated his life to the care of little people faced with special medical needs. All this and more next on Catholic Magazine.
With your window on your world, this is Catholic Magazine. Good evening again, everyone. I'm Paul Perello.
And I'm Patsy O'Shelton. Welcome to the St. Patrick's Day edition of Catholic Magazine. And we'll have everything for you today, from leprechauns to the little people.
Also on tonight's program, if you're contemplating a return to school, you might want to stick around for a discussion about the Access program at Chestnut Hill College.
Up to now, Tara, to me, simply meant the plantation that Scarlett O'Hara loved so dearly. But Father Pat Lavin today talks to us about neighborhoods, hospitality, and another Tara revisited.
Having been born in the city of neighborhoods, Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love, I learned at a very, very early age to appreciate the cosmopolitan atmosphere that was present. We had the ethnic foods, and we had the cultures, and we had the neighborhoods. We had the Germans, and we had the Russians, and we had the Italians and the Irish. We had the African Americans and the Poles and the Czechs. Each and every one of us had our own territory, and each and every one of us had our own church, and each and every one of us had our own saints. When asked where you lived, you would automatically tell the person what parish you were from. That's the way it was then, and that's the way it is today. As a kid growing up in South Philadelphia, the Italian and the Irish of us used to look forward to the two great feasts that would break up that 40-day purple tunnel of Lent. It was St. Patrick's Day and St. Joseph. For the Irish kids, we look forward to having those little sweet potatoes covered with cinnamon, the candies that were delicious, and corned beef and cabbage, and if you were lucky, they'll let you have a green beer for the holiday. And the Italians, they look forward to the St. Joseph's table, where the priest would come and bless it, and on that table there was the calzone San Giuseppe, the little St. Joseph's pants, they called them. They were chocolate, with a little bit of crushed nuts. And the zeffoli with the honey cakes and the jimmies. Oh, they were wonderful, wonderful days. And we also used to tell stories about our favorite saint. And of course the Irish would add a little bit more to the story, because we always could tell a story fairly well. And we would get little things like, St. Joseph, he wasn't so great. He was only a carpenter, and his father was only the stepfather of Jesus. And St. Patrick was marvelous because he drove out all the snakes from Ireland. And along with it, he converted all the pagans. But then we almost came to fisticuffs when the Italian kids would look at us and say, yeah, but St. Patrick was an Italian. Now that I'm into my second half century, and that the name Patrick means noble, administrator, and rules with righteousness, I have a confession to make. You see, I found out that Patrick was born in the far outlying regions of the Roman Empire, on an island called Britain, in the year 387. And the villages and the towns and the villas were run by the Roman officers. And it just so happened that Patrick's father was a member of that community, and his name was Capornis, and his wife named Conchessa. That's a far cry from Timothy and Bridget, I'll tell you that much. At the age of 16, the children saw foreign boats coming ashore, and lo and behold, a number of young men were taken as prisoners and taken across the Irish Sea to the country of the pagans, Ireland. There he was sold into slavehood to a king by the name of Milko, for whom he worked for 6 years, tending the sheep and the pigs outside of the palace gates. And one night in a dream, it's told, the story, and Irish love to tell stories, that his angel appeared to him and said, Patrick, it's time to go home. And so he escaped his king, went to the coast, got on a boat, and returned to Britain. It was then that he decided that he wanted to study to be a priest. And he was shipped off to Gaul, which is now present-day France, where he studied under one of his kinsmen, St. Martin of Tours. After being ordained priests, they decided that they wanted to send priests to the pagan Ireland to spread the good news of Christianity. And Patrick was one of those chosen. He was appointed bishop and anointed and sent off to that foreign land. The first church that Patrick founded in Ireland was at Saul, and 60 years later, his body remains will be laid to rest there. Patrick also moved on to Tara, the hill of Tara where the palace of the kings stood. As a matter of fact, St. Charles Seminary, in a way, reminds me of the rolling hills of Tara. At Tara, they were preparing for a great feast, the Druid priest that took care of the king. It was the king's birthday, and they were going to celebrate the fays of Tara. And the rule went out to all of Ireland that not one fire was to be started before the Druids lit the great fire at Tara. Patrick, having heard this and finding himself on the hill of Slane, about 10 minutes distance away, ordered that the largest pile of wood should be put together, and they would have a great fire because it was on the eve of Easter. And the fire was lit, and from across the valley, the king and the Druid priest could see the flames. Someone had broken the law. And the next thing you knew, the chariots and the horsemen came and found the rebel priest, Patrick, and his companions, and they took him before the king. And a great jest was brought up between the Druid priest and their magic and the saint and his miracles. Patrick won. And then he stooped down and picked up from the grass a shamrock, and he began to teach the great mysteries of Christianity to the king and to all who would listen. He talked about the triune God, God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit. Three persons in one God, undivided. The king wasn't converted, but he gave Patrick carte blanche to go throughout all of Ireland and to spread Christianity. Recently, I had the pleasure to climb Tara with a Sister of Mercy from Trim. And up the hill she went, the hill of hostages, and I came up behind her as I'm admiring the sheep grazing in the green fields of Tara. I got 2 feet from the top of the hill, and the next thing I know, my foot slips on the morning dew, and down the hill in my black clothing I slid, and at the bottom I look up, covered with mud, at the nun who's laughing herself silly, and Sister Elma looks at me and she says, "Ah, Patrick, I'd even with you. Don't you ever say that he ate pasta, because he was born and bred on potatoes, and that's what kept the saint alive." This is Father Pat Lavin. I ask you, and to invite me into your home again, to keep on with your song. And I wish you happy St. Patrick's Day, and yes, happy St. Joseph's Day.
And always a pleasure to see Father Lavin, especially on this special St. Patrick's edition of Catholic Magazine. Well, did you ever wonder about returning to school and earning your college degree? But oftentimes you sit there and you say, how could I return to school when I have to juggle family, career, and so many other things that we're faced with today? Well, then you might want to listen up about the Access program. The Access program combines quality with flexibility and an accelerated schedule to enable men and women to return to school and get their degrees. And you don't have to travel far to participate for Access. Through a partnership with Allentown College, Chestnut Hill College is now offering Access. Betty Jane Turner is director of Access at Chestnut Hill College. She's our guest on our program. Welcome to our program.
Thank you, Paul.
I guess, Betty Jane, in these hectic days, we all have to worry about doing so many things that probably a lot of people contemplate a return to school, but they say, I can't fit it into my schedule. One of the benefits of Access is it's flexible. And I guess flexibility is what it's really all about.
Yes. The Access program that is now at Chestnut Hill College is an adult degree program that provides the opportunity for working, busy adults who have families and other kinds of cares in the world to get their degrees in a way that's manageable. Students who participate in the Access program at Chestnut Hill can earn 6 credits every 8 weeks, and thereby getting their degree earlier while they maintain their jobs and continue their family obligations.
Now, we're talking about people coming into the program that have either had some type of coursework, or are we talking about people that are high school graduates that are looking to begin their coursework?
No, we are talking about people who are adults, in fact, in the traditional sense of adults, who are returning to school, either having never been to college or having had some college background but never completed the degree. Those are the adults that we're talking about. It's not for traditional students.
Okay. Now, it's my understanding that the Access program at Chestnut Hill is the only such program here in the greater Philadelphia area. And if that's correct, how did the partnership come about with Allentown College?
Okay. Well, let me give you a little bit of history. First of all, Access means the Allentown College Continuing Education and Summer Session. And it was started, I think, back in 1976. The idea came about to start a different kind of adult degree program. In 1977, Access became a reality on the Allentown campus, 1977. It started off with 50 students. It took off so tremendously, and it met such a need in that area in Pennsylvania, that in 1988, a satellite campus was started in Easton, Pennsylvania. And as you mentioned earlier, in June of 1992, this past June as a matter of fact, Father Daniel Gambit, who was the president of Allentown College, signed an agreement with then President Sister Matthew Anita McDonald, to bring Access to the Chestnut Hill campus. At this time, Sister Carol Jean Vale is the president of Chestnut Hill College and has agreed to continue the agreement to have Access on the Chestnut Hill campus. That's how it came to the Delaware Valley.
So the first students to enroll then in the Access program at Chestnut Hill back in October of last year?
Yes, yeah, the first students.
What are some of the degrees and the coursework that's being offered at Chestnut Hill now for these people contemplating a return to college?
At the moment, we are offering degrees in accounting, computer science, marketing, and management. We will soon, very soon, be offering a degree in human services.
Now, for a lot of people that are contemplating a return to college and may be interested in the Access program at Chestnut Hill, obviously in the back of everyone's mind is cost and possible financial concerns. Is there, I guess, some type of deferred tuition program at Chestnut Hill that might help ease the burden of financially of making that step into back getting into college?
Yes, we have a great tuition deferment policy. Many of our students work for employers that have tuition reimbursement, so we have that type of a deferment policy. We also have a deferment policy in which payment arrangements are worked out with the college, and students pay their own on a deferment basis. And then, of course, we have the traditional financial aid processes.
So students that would enroll in this accelerated flexible program would be entitled to your traditional grants and loans and things like that?
Absolutely, absolutely.
If there's someone that's interested in attending Chestnut Hill College and participating in the Access program, how could they go about learning more information about the program, Betty Jane?
Well, first of all, they need to call the following number, 248-7063.
And the number's there on the screen.
And we will give them information about the school. I do want to add, Paul, that students earn these 6 credits every 8 weeks, and they only come to school 2 evenings a week. And they can take the Monday and Wednesday sequence or the Tuesday and Thursday sequence. They are considered, depending on their package, full-time students, and they can earn their degree. These sessions are held over the course of the academic year, and within an academic year, we have 6 sessions enabling a student to acquire 36 credits or more in one academic year, and it's the only place around that can happen.
Betty Jane Turner, Director of Access at Chestnut Hill College, our guest on this edition of Catholic Magazine. Thanks so much for being with us. We'll have much more ahead on this edition of Catholic Magazine, so don't touch that dial.
SEP materials for Catholic Magazine, provided by Tague Lumber Incorporated, serving the Delaware Valley for over 75 years. And by John Wanamaker, fine stores in the Delaware Valley.
Here's one time it doesn't matter who your neighbor is. Here's the other. Life's too short. Stop the hate.
Every 53 minutes, an American child dies because of poverty.
Children make up 27% of the general population, but they account for 40% of the people living in poverty.
As the numbers indicate, the situation has reached a crisis level. Johnson, you seem to have a clear picture of the problem. What's your assessment?
I'm more than a number, I'm a person. If you don't take care of me today, how do you expect me to take care of this country tomorrow?
Some week.
Thank God it's Friday.
Isn't it time you thank God for the rest of the week? There's power in prayer. A message from your Catholic neighbors.
Dear brothers and sisters, we must never underestimate the power of prayer.
Karen, hitting is wrong. You're bigger, you're stronger, you take time out and you don't hit. Do you understand?
Take time out. Don't take it out on your child.
We welcome your comments, suggestions, and donations and encourage you to write us at Catholic Magazine, St. Charles Seminary, 1000 East Wynwood Road, Overbrook, PA, 19096, or call us during regular business hours at 668-9842.
Having grown to the height of 5'9" by the age of 12, I must confess I've had little insight into the world of little people. Watch with us now as we view a feature about the children of little people entitled A Commitment to Little People.
Can you imagine living your life as someone who will never grow more than 3.5 feet tall? What problems would you face? How would people treat you? How would you feel? Perhaps the problem is that the general public knows very little about little people, what individuals under 4'10" prefer to be called. Not only do little people face the ridicule and limitations of being child size, many also face a variety of medical problems. Luckily, Dr. Stephen Kopitz, a very special orthopedic surgeon, realized that there was a large disabled population that was not being helped and was often misdiagnosed and mistreated. He has since become one of the world's leading experts in the field.
We had the meeting of the little people of Baltimore, and it was then that I realized that the tremendous disability that little people as a group have and have expressed. I saw people barely able to walk, taking turns in pushing each other in wheelchairs, and I remember very particularly a group of maybe 15, 20 little people on the big long hallway of Hopkins, and I saw a portion of humanity who was really suffering.
After working at the Moore Clinic at Johns Hopkins School of Medicine for a number of years, Dr. Kopitz felt it was time to find a home for his little people. And fortunately, the perfect spot was found here at St. Joseph Hospital in Towson, Maryland.
I was looking for a Catholic environment, receptive to patients, such as the little people. I felt that I would there find the compassion and the upbeat, optimistic attitude that is typical of our Christian spirit. And this is why this center came to the hospital run by the Sisters of St. Francis, of the Order of St. Francis.
Through the invaluable support of hospital president, Sister Marie Cecilia, and Kopitz's staff, preparations including lectures and seminars began to ensure the proper reception of little people.
When we brought our program here, we brought a long-term program. So what the nurses had to do is get used to taking care of patients for longer periods of time who might be here from anywhere to 3 weeks to 8 weeks. And I think that takes a lot of sensitivity on the nurses' part to be in tune to the patient's needs and the family's needs who are here for a long time away from home and away from their family support.
The nursing staff of 2 North not only give a lot to their little people patients, they get a lot back in return.
Yeah, we get a lot back from the patients and the little people. I mean, you get to see you get to see somebody come in who can't walk and go through a whole stage of surgeries, and then they come back for therapy, and you watch them become a different person, and you knew that you were a part of that, and you got to help them through it. So you get a lot of personal satisfaction.
People that are not only short of stature, but also have disproportionate body segments are included under the medical heading of having skeletal dysplasia.
And usually it's more than one problem. So you may have a bad spinal deformity, restricting your breathing ability. In addition, you may have a compression of the spinal cord. In addition, you may have poor hips with hip disease, with pain, with weight-bearing pain. And in addition, you may have deformities in the lower limbs.
But through his extensive research and experience, Dr. Kopitz is able to help many of his patients through various treatments and orthopedic surgeries.
The sum total of these surgeries should be resulting in an individual who can live, work, walk, sit without pain for as long as it is required to do a job that is similar to any other person in society and perform along the same parameters of anyone else. I mean, we assume that a greater independence will result in happiness.
And though it is often difficult to see people, especially children, with some very serious medical problems, Dr. Kopitz looks to the future and all that can be done to improve the lives of little people.
Oh, I project what they will become after treatment. I project what we can do, in what measure we can improve on their life. And then it's instead of being a very sad situation, it becomes a challenge.
Challenge. Probably the most important word here at the International Center for Skeletal Dysplasia, especially in the uniquely equipped physical therapy room. Though most of the physical therapy is more like training for the Olympics, there is a special part of physical therapy that everyone enjoys.
The pool is kept at a temperature of 94 to 98 degrees, and that temperature is good to relax their muscles. So it's like a big whirlpool. So once they get in there, they're relaxed, and the cramped muscles that they feel from being in the casts are much looser. And then the children are able to walk in the pool in about chest-deep water long before they're able to walk on the land. So they can get up walking, and that's good for self-esteem as well as for strengthening their legs, and they can gradually get shallower and shallower in the pool. Also, the children spend all day long sitting in their wheelchairs, and they can't move, and they can't get up to go to the bathroom or get dressed themselves or whatever. Once they're in the pool, they can swim, they can push each other down, they can be more like kids. And it's everybody is more or less on the same level then, too. There's not real tall people, real short people. Everybody's the same height, so it's a big equalizer. And the children also are kids and can play like kids normally play, and they don't have to be afraid that they're going to fall out of their wheelchair or whatever.
So how and why would a doctor devote his life to such long hours and grueling surgery schedules? What does he get out of it?
Well, the part of my work that gives me the most satisfaction occurs in this very room. It is what I just described. It is the fight of human beings against adversity. Against adversity that is many times greater than their size. And to see them overcome adversity, to see their courage, that is what gives me the most satisfaction. To see children who would have never walked or would have walked poorly, who would have perhaps not even lived, and now are able to do much more than just living. They walk and they become productive members of society. That gives me the greatest satisfaction. No question about it. And that occurs in this very room. This is where you see, after multiple surgeries, you see a human being begin to function again. And that's marvelous. That's absolutely marvelous.
It has brought so much hope to a group of people that really didn't have hope before. They know that there is somebody that cares, there's a place that cares.
Through the medical support of Dr. Kopitz, his staff, and the sisters and employees at St. Joseph Hospital, little people everywhere are finding the medical care, the hope, and the understanding they need to live full, productive, and rewarding lives.
Here's some good news, folks, at income tax time. The Division of Business and Information Management of Newman College in Aston, Pennsylvania, will be providing free help in the preparation of income tax returns. Accounting students at Newman will assist in the preparation of returns through the Internal Revenue Service Volunteer Tax Assistance Program. For additional information or to make an appointment, call Newman College at 215-558-5588 or the IRS at 215-597-5966. And also on March 3rd, the Shrine of the Blessed Catherine Drexel was reopened at the Mother House of the Sisters of the Blessed Sacrament in Bensalem, Pennsylvania. The sisters invite you to pray at the shrine from 1 to 5 p.m. every day. For directions and more information, call 244-9900.
On Tuesday, April 20th, a benefit dinner theater will be held for St. Ignatius Nursing Home at the hotel atop the Bellevue. An evening of elegance will be presented featuring the musical talents of Ann Blythe and Bill Hayes. You'll not only benefit a worthwhile charity, but you'll have the opportunity to enjoy a gourmet dinner and win a trip for two to Beverly Hills, California. So if you'd like to help make the evening an overwhelming success, keep Tuesday night, April 20th, open on your calendar and call John Gordon at 349-8800 for tickets and chance information. That's John Gordon, 349-8800.
John Gordon, the Irish tenor. Sounds like a winner.
And neither you or I wore green today for our St. Patrick's program?
Thank goodness our guest had the good sense to wear green and save face for us.
Good night, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Good night.
It's been said that this is God's country. Never more than from August 11th through the 15th. World Youth Day, an international celebration of faith and love.